You are absolutely fluent in Italian if you can understand everything in this lesson. How well do you know Italian? Do you use idioms, read books, or can you tell a joke in Italian? Well, it's time to step things up a notch. Are you ready to test how advanced your Italian really is? I've put together a list of 15 Italian puns and jokes where wordplay will challenge your skills in more ways than one, from grammar, vocabulary, and a sense of humour. And don't worry if it doesn't make sense at first, I've included detailed explanations to help you out along the way. And by the end, not only will you have expanded your vocabulary, but you'll also have a bunch of clever jokes to impress your Italian friends with. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. To help you to practice what you're about to learn here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which includes all the vocabulary, examples, and explanations from this lesson. Just click on the link in the description below this video. Pronti? Are you ready? Iniziamo! Let's get started. Ciao, I'm Michelle with just one L. And even though my dad is Italian, he's originally from Puglia, I didn't grow up speaking Italian. I was named after my nonno, Michele. Thanks, Dad. And I learned Italian as an adult. I was in my early 20s when I started. Now I teach thousands of students and learners just like you how to speak Italian with confidence using my unique 80-20 method. Now today we're going to look at puns, and these can help you become fluent in Italian. Why? Well, puns are a clever and fun way to play around with the language, creating humour through words that have multiple meanings or similar sounds. Now, there are three mains of puns that will really challenge your brain. We have homonymic puns, homophonic puns, and homographic puns. Now, homonymic puns rely on words that are spelled and pronounced exactly the same, but have different meanings. For example,
sentire,
to feel, to hear.
fine,
End, objective.
faccia,
Face, third person singular form of the present subjunctive of fare, to do or to make. Homophonic puns use words that sound the same but are spelled differently and have different meanings. These can also extend to phrases that sound identical, even if their composition is completely different. Here are some examples.
c'era,
Wax,
c'era,
there was.
ho,
I have,
o,
or.
lira,
The anger,
lira,
liar. Finally, we have homographic puns that are based on words that are spelled the same but pronounced differently. This often comes down to where the accent is placed. Take a look at these examples.
ambito,
Field, area.
ambito,
Popular, desirable.
ancora,
Anchor,
ancora,
still.
viola,
Violet,
viola,
third person singular form of violare, to violate. Other times, it's small changes in how vowels are pronounced that can give you totally new words. For instance,
botte,
punches,
botte,
barrel,
pesca,
peach,
pesca,
fishing,
porci,
pigs.
porci.
From the verb porsi, to behave. Now let's test how fluent you are in Italian by looking at some puns. The first one is,
Cosa fa un gallo in mezzo al mare? Galleggia.
literally, what does a rooster do in the middle of the sea? It floats. Now this pun plays on the sounds of two words,
Gallo,
and
galleggia.
let's break it down. Gallo means rooster, which is a farm animal that has nothing to do with the sea. So the question seems a little odd at first. Galleggia is the third person singular form of galleggiare, which means to float or to stay afloat in water. If you say galleggia, it sounds a lot like gallo, and that's what makes the pun funny. So the joke tricks you into expecting a surprising answer that connects a rooster with the sea, but instead it delivers a word play. The gallo, rooster, galleggia, floats. Now we're just warming up. Let's move on to the next pun in Italian. Take a look.
Sai perché il pomodoro non riesce a dormire? Perché l'insalata russa.
Now this literally translates to, do you know why the tomato can't sleep? Because the salad snores. Now this joke is based on the double meaning of the word
Russa.
In Italian, rossa can mean two different things depending on the context. Russian referring to
Insalata russa.
a popular dish made with mixed vegetables and mayonnaise, also known as a Russian salad in English, and he or she snores, which is the third person singular form of the verb
russare.
To snore. So when we say l'insalata russa, it can either mean the Russian salad, as in the dish, or that the salad is snoring, as in the salad is making noises, keeping the tomato awake. Let's move on to the next pun. Take a look.
Cosa fanno 8 cani in mezzo al mare? Un canotto.
This literally translates to, what do 8 dogs do in the middle of the sea? A dinghy. Now the humour in this pun comes from a clever wordplay that combines numbers and pronunciation. Specifically, the humour revolves around the word
Canotto.
dinghy. This is a small boat. And how it sounds, similar to
Cani.
dogs, plus the number
8.
for 8. So when you say
8 cani.
8 dogs, the flow of the words makes it sound very close to the word un canotto, a dinghy. It's a clever phonetic trick where the sound of the word creates the joke. Now, if you're enjoying this lesson, don't forget to download your free PDF cheat sheet. Just click on the link in the description below this video. Now let's move on to the next Italian pun. Take a look.
Cosa fanno 12 polli disposti in cerchio al polo nord? Il circolo polare artico.
What do 12 chickens arranged in a circle at the North Pole do? The chicken circle. Now in Italian,
Circolo polare artico.
refers to the Arctic Circle, which is the region around the North Pole. But here's where the pun happens. By adding an extra L,
Polare.
for polar becomes,
Pollare.
which sounds very similar to
Polli.
chickens. This way, instead of imagining a vast cold landscape, you're likely to picture a group of confused chickens standing in the freezing Arctic. Let's move on to the next pun. Take a look.
Pronto, centralino? Lino c'entra se ci stringiamo un po'.
This literally means, hello, switchboard. Lino fits in if we squeeze a bit. The fun of this Italian pun lies in the similarity between
Centralino.
meaning switchboard or telephone operator, and
Lino c'entra.
which translates to Lino fits in. The first part, pronto, centralino, sounds like the usual way Italians answer the phone, with pronto being a common greeting. The twist comes in the response,
Lino c'entra se ci stringiamo un po'.
which means Lino fits in if we squeeze a bit, as if you're making room for Lino. Notice how Lino c'entra sounds almost identical to centralino when said aloud. That's the wordplay. So the question, pronto, centralino, hello, switchboard, might be misinterpreted as centralino, does Lino fit in? Making the whole thing a playful mix-up between calling for the switchboard and asking if Lino can fit in somewhere. Okay, let's move on to the next pun. Take a look, you're going to like this one.
Un prosciutto dice all'altro. Basta, sono cotto.
This literally translates to, a ham says to the other, that's enough, I'm cooked. Now this is a playful pun that makes the most of the dual meaning of the adjective cotto. On one hand,
Sono cotto.
means I'm cooked, which makes sense when talking about,
Prosciutto.
as in the type of ham, because
Prosciutto cotto.
is the type of ham that's slowly cooked instead of air dried. But there's also a second meaning of cotto in everyday Italian. It can mean I'm exhausted or I'm worn out. So the joke here is that the ham is not only cooked in the literal sense, but also tired, just like someone who's had a long day. Let's move on to the next pun. Take a look.
Le galline si sono beccate al mercato.
This literally translates to, the hens had a little spat at the market. Now, if you take it literally,
Le galline si sono beccate
means the hens pecked each other. But in everyday Italian,
beccarsi
also means to meet or to catch up casually. And sometimes it may even hint that the meeting wasn't all that friendly, kind of like having a small argument or disagreement. So in a figurative sense,
Le galline si sono beccate al mercato.
Could be humorously understood as the hens met up or had a little spat at the market. Take a look at this next pun in Italian.
Il fungo alla funga. Ciao, facciamo l'amore. La funga al fungo. Sei un porcino.
This translates to the male mushroom to the lady mushroom. Hi, shall we make love? The lady mushroom to the male mushroom. You're a little pig. This joke features two mushrooms,
Fungo,
the male mushroom and
funga.
the female mushroom. Fungo kicks things off with a pretty direct question.
Facciamo l'amore?
Shall we make love? And funga's response is a clever wordplay. The word
Porcino.
refers to a specific type of mushroom, also known as sep in English. So on one level, funga is pointing out that fungo is a porcino mushroom, but it can also be interpreted as a diminutive form of
Porco.
which means pig. In this light, funga humorously calls fungo a little pig, teasing him for being a bit cheeky with his flirtatious attempt. Now, to learn 68 pickup lines and how to flirt in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Now let's move on to the next pun, which is
Ho sposato una donna di nome Margherita, ma ho divorziato perché ogni 4 stagioni faceva la capricciosa.
literally, I married a woman named Margherita, but I divorced her because every 4 seasons she acted moody. Now this is a clever joke that combines Italian food culture with everyday life, specifically using the names of popular pizzas. Let's break it down.
Margherita.
Is a common Italian girl's name, but also the name of one of Italy's most iconic pizzas, the classic one with mozzarella, tomato and basil. But when the man says he married Margherita, it can be seen as both a woman's name and a beloved pizza. Then we have
4 stagioni.
literally, this means 4 seasons, but it's also the name of another classic Italian pizza that's divided into 4 sections, each with a different topping to represent the 4 seasons of the year. Then we have
Capricciosa.
This is yet another well-known pizza, typically topped with mushrooms, ham, artichokes and olives. But in Italian, this word also means moody, suggesting the wife's mood changes often. So the speaker is humorously saying that he married someone named Margherita, which could mean both the woman and the pizza, but divorced her because, like the 4 stagioni pizza, which changes with the season, she was periodically acting like a capricciosa, all moody and temperamental. Okay, let's move on to the next pun. Take a look at this one.
2 rapinatori. O ci dai i soldi o spariamo. E il cassiere. Sparite, sparite.
This literally means 2 robbers. Either you give us the money or we'll shoot. And the cashier, disappear, disappear. Now this joke is based on the double meaning of the verb
Spariamo.
in Italian. It can mean we shoot, from
Sparare.
which means to shoot, and we disappear, from
Sparire.
which means to disappear, because both verbs are spelled the same in the first person plural form. So when the robbers threaten,
O ci dai i soldi o spariamo.
they mean either you give us the money or we'll shoot. But the cashier understands it differently. He thinks they're saying either you give us the money or we'll disappear. That's why he replies with
Sparite, sparite.
which is the imperative form of sparire, meaning disappear. It's like the cashier is jokingly telling the robbers to leave, completely ignoring their threat with a funny response. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet. Again, you can find a link to that in the description below this video. Let's move on to the next pun. Take a look.
Il marinaio spiegò le vele al vento, ma il vento non capì.
Now this literally means the sailor explained the sails to the wind, but the wind didn't understand. At first you might think this sentence is just a funny story about a sailor talking to the wind. But here's the clever pun. The Italian verb
Spiegare.
can mean both to explain and to unfold, like when you unfold a sail or a map. So when the sailor spiegò the sails to the wind, he could either be explaining something to the wind, which is a funny idea, because of course we know the wind can't understand explanations, or he's unfolding the sails so they fill up with wind. Let's take a look at this next pun.
Lui attaccò bottone. Lei difese l'asola.
Literally it means he attached the button, she defended the buttonhole. The fun here comes from two words that are typically related to sewing.
Bottone.
For button and
Asola.
buttonhole. In Italian,
Attaccare bottone.
literally means to attach a button, but colloquially, it actually means to start a conversation, especially when someone is eager or even a bit pushy to chat. So when we say,
Lui attaccò bottone.
we immediately picture a guy trying to strike up a conversation. On the other hand,
Difendere l'asola.
literally means to defend the buttonhole, the part of the garment where the button fits in. But in this joke, it humorously suggests that the woman is defending her personal space or her private parts, as if she's protecting herself from his advances. Let's take a look at this next pun.
Il geometra si misurò con i suoi avversari, ma loro non erano in scala.
The surveyor measured himself against his opponents, but they were not to scale. In Italian, a
Geometra.
is a professional who works with measurements, like sizes and areas. Instead, the verb
Misurarsi.
can mean to compete or to face off against someone, like in sports, but it can also refer to measuring oneself, like taking your own measurements. The humour in this sentence comes from the term
In scala.
which means something has been resized while keeping the same proportions, as in to scale. So when the geometra, surveyor, competes against his avversari, opponents, but realizes they are not in scala, not properly scaled, it creates a funny situation where the competition is invalid because the opponents aren't correctly to scale. Let's move on to the next pun. Take a look.
Perché il bue quando cade è contento? Perché si fa la bua.
Why is the ox happy when he falls? Because he's having sex with the female ox.
Farsi la bua.
Is a childish way to say to get hurt, like when kids get a small injury and say,
Mi sono fatto la bua.
I got a boo-boo. So one way to read the joke is that the
Bue.
ox falls, makes a boo-boo,
Si fa la bua.
but somehow finds it funny or amusing. But in Italian slang,
Farsi.
it can also mean to have sex with someone. Plus, bua, even though it's not a real word, sounds like the feminine version of bue, ox. So, farsi la bua can also be interpreted as having sex with the female ox. In this case, the joke takes on a completely different meaning. The ox isn't happy because of a painful injury, but rather of a more fun kind of experience. Now, to learn more about Italian slang that you won't find in any textbook, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Let's move on to the next pun. Take a look at this.
Hanno arrestato Ercaccola. Si pensa ad una soffiata.
They arrested Ercaccola. It's thought to be a tip-off. Now, this might sound like another news story about a petty criminal, but there's a clever wordplay in this language that makes it way more interesting. The word
Caccola.
is slang for a bogey or a booger, the one you find up your nose. However, in the Roman dialect Romanesco, people are often given nicknames based on their habits or quirks. So if someone has a habit of picking their nose, they might be given a nickname like
caccola,
which literally means the bogey or the booger. Now, the word
soffiata,
on the other hand, has two meanings. First, it comes from the verb
soffiare,
which means to blow, like when you blow your nose to get rid of a caccola. But in criminal slang, a soffiata also refers to a tip-off that helps the police catch someone. So the headline is doing two things at once. It's saying that caccola got arrested because someone tipped off the cops. It's making a sneaky joke that he was taken out by a blow, just like a bogey or a booger gets blown away when you blow your nose. Now this last joke was really tricky, so if you understood it, complimenti, congratulations, you're definitely fluent in Italian. Now to continue your learning and to help you practice all these Italian puns, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which I've linked to in the description below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. And if you enjoyed this lesson, make sure you take my free Italian level test right here. Plus, test your vocabulary of advanced Italian. Now, if you know these 15 words, your Italian is amazing. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more videos like this one. Until then, un abbraccio. Ciao!